Hello, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, author of The Voices of Hockey, Broadcasters Reflect on the Fastest Game on Earth, which is available in audio format. I'll tell you it's available on Audible and on Apple Books. Now, if you got a little bit of an itch to scratch while we're in between this hockey action, we've been 3 days removed from the NHL having its hiatus start, and we're about 2 days from the men starting to compete in the Olympic Games. So if you want a little bit of something to be basically a seat filler for the next couple of days, check the book out. 65 NHL play-by-play broadcasters, past and present, whom I've interviewed personally, given their first-hand experiences covering 35 NHL teams, past and present, and we're talking some of the heavyweights. We're not just talking the Foster Hewitt winners, the Hall of Famers like Doc Emmerich, Mike Laine, and Bob Miller, and those kinds of voices. We also have Marvin Kenny Albert on the slate, and Bob Costas, by the way, and Gary Thorne. So definitely some familiar household names, and for each of your markets, like Detroit with Ken Cow, Ken Daniels, and Paul Woods, you got some familiar names there too. So check it out, especially while you're just waiting to get some more of that hunger satisfied as far as NHL or NHL caliber competition going. I'm coming to you from the southwest corner of Washington State, 2,454 miles from Little Caesars Arena. Now, there's three players from the Red Wings who are more than 2,454 miles from Little Caesars Arena as they get preparing themselves for competition this week, and that's Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, and Mo Seider. Each one of those names are going to be brought up at one point or another in this show, so just be prepared. The first one's going to be Larks, because now I'm going to talk about Team USA and Team Sweden. I think that I gave a lot of props to USA and Canada in the last few shows, and I really think that looking at the NHL representation, Sweden has a plenty of names that are filling that roster as well. Before I get into USA, let's talk about Sweden. Sweden's got Brett Johansson, Eriksson Ek, Forsberg, Holberg, Kempe, Landeskog, Lindum, that's Hampus and Elias, William Nylander, Eric Pedersen, Raquel, our boy Lucas Raymond, Wenberg, Zibanejad, he has been on fire for the Rangers. Rasmus Anderson, who just got traded over to the Golden Knights, obviously a big-time name there. Broberg, Dahlin, Ekman Larson, Forsling, Hedman, Carlson, Gustafsson, Markstrom, Wallstat. How about that? Now, going over the U.S. names, you got Boldy, Connor, Eichel, Gensel, Hughes, both Jack and Quinn. I'm giving last names except for those that have brothers are out there like Jack and Quinn Hughes and Matthew and Brady Tkachuk. So I don't have to go over their names in a second here. But Keller, Larks, there we go. There's our guy. Matthews, Miller, Nelson, Thompson, Trocheck, Faber, Hannafin, Lacombe, McAvee, Sanderson, Slavin, Werenski, Hellebuck, Ottinger, and Swayman. So looking at those two rosters, I feel like Canada has its work cut out for them. Wherever we show up on this, I think that all three of these teams, Canada, USA, and Sweden, are definitely going to be at the podium. Now, whether who's got the gold, who's got the bronze, and who's got the silver, I think that it's going to be kind of interesting to see who the semifinal matchup is. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. There's obviously other teams that are going to be involved in this. Russia's another one of those. But looking at those three teams right there and how stacked they are, it wouldn't surprise me a bit if that's how, basically interchangeably between those three teams, gold, silver, and bronze. So we'll be keeping an eye out. Obviously, I'm going to always be keeping an eye out for Lucas Raymond on Team Sweden and Larks, obviously, on Team USA here. Being from the USA myself, I'm going to probably be definitely counting on the Americans to maybe get the gold in this one, hopefully, and get that monkey off their back. But in the meantime, if not them, you got a couple other teams that definitely might be giving Canada a run for their money, and that's Sweden and obviously the U.S. as well. But I can't wait for this competition to start up. It's going to be interesting seeing some of our teams. They've fought each other. They've probably had an axe to grind on the regular season. And they're going to be out on the opposing face-off circles as well. You saw that Tkachuk took that shot at Kucherov the other day. If those two match up again during the Olympic Games, there might be a little bit of enforcement going Matthew Tkachuk's way. Who knows? We talked a little bit about that over last Friday, so we don't need to go into it anymore. But just looking at the two lineups, definitely some solid talent out there, and that's my prediction. Is that's going to be the interchangeably between those three. You got gold, silver, and bronze. So we'll see how things start to pan out once the it starts on Thursday. I believe the games start for the competition. Jumping back over into the NHL, I wanted to point out today's Monday. So while we're still on this little hiatus, we might as well bring up Milestone Monday. And a very important milestone was reached. And this because this is his swan song. And then it's Anze Kopitar reaching 1,300 career points. He did it against the Golden Knights last Thursday night, the last game on the slate basically for both teams before the break. And just looking at Anze Kopitar, just a couple of things to really point out. Obviously we said 1,300 points. That's 446 goals and 854 assists. That's pretty dang impressive. Obviously, he's a two-time Stanley Cup winner in 2012 and 2014, led that team. And he's been with the team the whole time. And I'm pretty sure he's been the captain. This is one of the things they talk about. Nick Nixon in particular talks about in the Voices of Hockey in the Los Angeles Kings chapter is like, you've never seen a player last that long as a captain on the Kings. And a lot of times it doesn't really happen that way. Gordie Howe's one example of a team, it's had a captain for so long and leading the team in scoring. We had the same kind of thing going on with Yzerman as well. But still, just some of the things that Nick Nixon talked about with Anze Kopitar. As you see, he had nothing but great things to say about him. And let's talk about the hardware, basically. 3 times he won the Lady Byng, he won the Selke twice, and he won the Messier once. He's got 1,032 blocks and 1,227 hits in his career. Those are other stats I'm very impressed with as well. Obviously, it's a good 17 or 18 year career. He's been at it for a long time, and this is his swan song. And I would have loved to have seen him play against Patrick Kane the other day, considering the fact that those two, between 2010 and 2015, those two had 5 out of the 6 cups that were available. So he was IR'd at the time. I think he came back obviously because he was able to suit up and play against the Knights to the point of getting an assist and getting him at that 1,300 point mark. But congratulations goes out to you, Kopitar. I can tip my hat to you, and what a great career you've had. Basically bringing the Stanley Cup to Los Angeles. The team had been around for 45 years, obviously, and so be able to bring them that, and they were beginning to think, when are we ever going to get it? And then you brought it to them, and not only did you bring it to them, you brought it to them twice. So congratulations on your 1,300 points. You probably won't be getting too much more than that before your career ends the end of this season, and obviously he's probably doing the whole tour, and people are probably giving him gifts at each city, or maybe not. Maybe they only do that for Vin Scully. I don't know. It's Los Angeles, so Kareem, they did the same thing for him. I don't know if he's going to get the red carpet. Old Kopitar is going to get the red carpet the way that Kareem and Vin Scully did in the NBA and then Major League Baseball. But who knows? We'll see. Congratulations to you, Anze, though. Okay, just a little rumor going around, and it's interesting because once again, referring back to the Voices of Hockey, Patrick Laine, when I was talking with Paul Edmonds of the Winnipeg Jets, he mentioned Patrick Laine and what a difference maker bringing him in and getting that. I think he was the number 2 pick in the 2016 draft, if I am not mistaken. Second overall pick in 2016 NHL entry draft. But he only basically played for that team for like maybe 5 seasons at best, six at the most, definitely 6 at the most. But they're talking about trading him from where he is now in Montreal. So he's been started with Winnipeg, going out the gates. He scores 36 goals as a rookie, 44 goals his second year. Then he goes to, I think he gets another 30 or something his third year, close to it, like 29 or something. So he's almost a 30-goal scorer first 3 seasons right out the gate. Then he goes over to Columbus. He only scores 64 goals over 3.5 seasons. And obviously they trade him away from them too. And the Columbus people were really upset with that because I think that just what they probably had to trade away to get Patrick Laine and what a disappointment he was. And then there he goes and packs his bags and goes elsewhere. And so now he's with Montreal, and now they're talking about him basically going away from Montreal as well. He's only scored 20 goals over his 57 games with the Canadiens. So the possibility for him is going over to Carolina. Now, honestly, folks, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in here. And I feel like if Carolina is going to be spending money, especially somebody with an $8.7 million cap hit with them along with them, I doubt Carolina is going to make that kind of move. Apparently, the talk is going around. He's exploring options that the most realistic is Carolina. This is from Sportsnet. But I'm going to tell you, and I'll put egg on my face if it doesn't turn out that way, but I seriously doubt Carolina is that dumb to sit there and add that much cap or add that much cost to their lineup when they've already made the moves that they've done to get players like Keandre Miller, and over time, I believe it's Gossipshire has been a great dividend for them over time as well. I mean, I obviously know that they have possibly other players they'd like to take the spotlight there, but they've got Seth Jarvis, who's doing a great job. Aho's always in the mix and things like that. So I seriously doubt, I mean, my name will be mud if I'm wrong about this, but I seriously doubt that there's any business from Laine going over to Carolina. That's just the rumor mill, and I would really be surprised if they were to shell out that kind of money to get him. I don't think he's that player to get them over the hump. Now, granted, he may fit right in. I just don't see that kind of money getting spent by Carolina with the money that they've spent already. So we'll just see. But that's the rumor mill right now. It's the only one that seems juicy enough. Obviously, there's a trade freeze until the 22nd or 23rd of basically the 23rd, because it's 11:59 Eastern time on the 22nd. So let's just say it for all intents and purposes, the 23rd, we open the market back up again. But if Laine goes anywhere, I'll be very surprised if it's to Carolina. Well, wrapping up the show, I want to talk about our third Olympic representing player, and that's Mo Seider. And I did mention the U.S. and Swedish lineups, and how stacked it is with NHL players. Germany, on the other hand, only has 5 representing NHL players. Grubauer is one of them, but Mo Seider is another of them. So it's not going to be so stacked of a team, but obviously nothing but good things to say about Mo. I've been touting him a lot ever since the end of November. I've always touted him. I've always seen him as a solid player. He won the Calder his first year here, and he's been nothing but healthy. He's like our Iron Man. And so I definitely have nothing but positive to say about him. Looking at the things that have changed about Mo, though, I will say, is that he's dropped from the 200 plus as far as hits goes. Over the last 3 seasons, he was 200 plus hits, and he's really dropped a lot in this season. And that has a lot to do with his role on the offense. I mean, he's on the number 1 power play, and he's on the number 1 team, and he's getting involved a lot more in those things offensively. He's going to start seeing an uptick in his points, taking on this role that he has. And so that is going to be the cost of it, is less hits because he's more involved in the action and he's more, on the power play unit as it is. But he still has been doing a great job with the blocks, and that's one of our main things for him to be part of for us is the blocks. And he's got 130 blocks right now, so he's still on pace to basically do what he's been doing and having the high 100s and in blocks each season. So and like I said, he's like an Iron Man. I mean, he hasn't missed a single game of the team's games since he came into the league in 21-22. I remember seeing him out in the desert. So I've seen him twice. I've seen him in the desert in Arizona in late 2021 during his rookie year. And I saw him again, obviously, just a few weeks ago. Actually, it's getting up on 2 months ago up there in Seattle to see him take on the Kraken and to see the Red Wings beat the Kraken late in the game. So tomorrow we'll talk about Tantrum Tuesday. We'll have a little bit of look at some of the other Olympic teams, get you a little bit of preview. We'll start seeing on Thursday, giving some more results and seeing how the representing players from the NHL are showing up on the scoreboard. But until then, this has been Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, LGRW from the PNW.